Hello everyone, welcome to my weekly lesson called The Return to Education. And in the first paragraph here, we already have our first word we're going to talk about. Deciding to go back to study at university sounded enthralling, and enthralling simply means fascinating or exciting, something worth looking at. Now, I have to say that we generally use this word as something which holds our attention, or enthralling, captivating, and it's a fairly common word. So that's something for you to think about today. And then my text continues. It brought back memories of education when I was younger, being part of something, a time when we all knew for sure we were loved and affirmed by forming deeper friendships. I think that's quite straightforward. As I work in the education sector, I'm very aware of the changing face of teaching, but this was going to be interesting. To be on the other side of the classroom for a change, not the one in front of the class. It came as a bit of a shock to find that campus life, that just means life at university. As I'm sure you all know, thanks to Americanism, we regularly call the areas around the university campus. Now, as far as I know, it wasn't always like that. Okay, I could be wrong there, but certainly I know from American movies, American books, American things that things related to campus are used much more commonly over there than they are here. Opening a new tab in my browser is hardly the same as bursting through the university doors wearing too much aftershave and white socks in 1987. Yes. So my first day arrived and I was feeling intrepid. That just means I was feeling like exploring something. I'm sure you've heard of intrepid explorers, intrepid. And I'm also sure you've heard the word intrepidation. These words are very common in English. And intrepid, it does mean uh, adventurous, okay, or fearless. Our intrepid reporter is going to bring you news now, for example. Um, but I usually use it as a synonym more about exploring something fearlessly. And then it says it was something of a relief to find an internet room full of middle-aged, cynical, bitter-looking faces staring at me. I was expecting teenagers. Arriving into an internet video chat is like changing a TV channel. You give it a few seconds to gauge what it's like, and I'm sure you know the word to gauge. To gauge is to try to weigh up what's actually happening. To gauge, like in the car when you're running low in petrol or fuel, there's a little gauge and the marker goes down to tell you when you need to get more fuel for the car. To gauge is when you decide how good or bad something is, or how serious something is. So to gauge what it's like before you feel altogether settled and you're immediately hit with feelings you don't quite know what they are yet. Yes. So when you enter a TV channel, that's exactly what it's like. So a few new words there. The most important one we did in the beginning, enthralling, feeling intrepid, um, like a fearless explorer, and to gauge, to decide how severe something is, good or bad, just like the gauge, which shows you how much petrol you have left, how good the situation is, how bad the situation is. When you have to make those decisions as well, you're gauging those decisions. Right, okay, let's move on. As always, we want to add a little bit about motivation. So for today, I just like to ask you the question, about your experiences of higher education. So compare your experiences of higher education uh, along with your experiences of learning English. Well, what I would say is probably that um, your experiences of higher education were much more formal. Learning English, especially online, is incredibly informal, and you really need to know where you're going before you approach a teacher. Because most teachers these days, especially the younger ones, they're there to have a conversation with you to help you, but they're not there to really help you to become um, or help you to get where you want to be. That you need to tell them what you're looking for. Older teachers can share their experience with you. They're more into kind of coaching, but younger ones, it's kind of like, okay, let's have a conversation about dogs, and on the way, you can tell me some grammar. Yeah, it's not really suitable for everyone. So, yeah, what's your experiences of higher education along with your experiences of learning English? Um, which ones suited you better? Which ones are more practical? I would guess the learning English is more practical. I mean, doing essays just because they're essays, very nice, but not exactly practical, we would say. And there we are. So that's me for today. Enthralling, intrepid to gauge, and also your experiences of higher education, and also your experiences of learning English, the good and the bad points, the highs and the lows. And more importantly, do you know where you're going today? Interesting question. See you all. Bye.